Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie. In this video I'm going to be reviewing a new foundation, a drugstore foundation. So this is the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover Full Coverage Lightweight Protective Makeup, which has SPF 50 in it, and it is anti-pollution. I got mine in the shade 100 Warm Ivory. I think there is one shade above it, but it's like a pink toned one, like I think it's called like Cool Ivory or something like that. Obviously I wanted to get a more warm tone foundation, but this is definitely the lightest warm one. The colour does look pretty good actually. Like I think I could probably get away with not using a white mix with this, so that's a little swatch of it on my hand. Definitely is more warm toned. Like yeah, I actually think that this colour could work. I'll do a little swatch on my neck. Obviously I try and like match it to my neck. Yeah, that's it on my neck there. I mean, maybe like a tiny bit dark, but I think I can get that one to work on its own. If there's any oxidization, that will probably be a bit of an issue, but we'll see about that. I won't use a white mixer for this video anyway. It's a bit of information about my skin. I've already told you that I'm more warm toned. I mean, I can get like neutral things as well. I'm very fair, so I always try to go for the lighter shades. Skin is kind of normal slash combination. I mean, in the winter I'm more dry, in the summer I'm more oily. Most of the time my skin's just fairly like normal. You get a lot of like blotchiness and stuff. I do have a bit of texture on my face, so I do want something that's going to, you know, have a decent amount of coverage. It doesn't necessarily have to be full coverage, but I like something that's got, you know, like a nice medium to full coverage. So we'll see what this foundation is like. I'll do a little bit of a wear test today. So it is currently 3:15. I'm going to work at 5 and then I'll get back at 10. So if we put this on now, it'll be about a 7-hour wear test, I think. So let's get started. So I'm just kind of putting it straight onto my sponge and then onto my face. I have watched a few reviews. I feel like it has got nice coverage, but I don't think it's meant to be full coverage or anything like that. It does feel quite like lightweight, and you can kind of smell the sunscreen in it, so maybe it's more of like a summer sort of foundation, but you know, that's going to happen eventually, hopefully soon. It's the end of March when I'm filming this. So I'm just going to go ahead and build up a load of this around my face. You know what, I think we can get away with that colour. It's really reminding me so far of the It Cosmetics CC cream. I think that it might have been made to be a dupe for that. It's got the same sort of smell. Yeah, this foundation is reminding me so much of the It Cosmetics one. I feel like it's the same thing. So if you're considering buying the It Cosmetics one, maybe get this one first so you can kind of see if you like that formula before you spend on it. I've put on like one layer around most of my face, but I've kind of built up a second layer around the kind of like bottom bit of my face, like around my chin where I have more blemishes. Such like a summery foundation, like you put it on and you instantly feel like it's summer because of that sunscreen smell. And also the kind of finish, like it's quite dewy, I'd say. It's not like a super oily consistency, like it's more just kind of dewiness. It's like definitely not a matte foundation, but I wouldn't say it's like super oily either. So like if you did have oily skin, I feel like, I mean, it might work okay. It's not like oil overkill. Like, is this the same foundation as the It Cosmetics one? Very similar. I would say that the coverage is like a solid medium. Like I wouldn't say it's high medium really. I'd say it's just kind of medium. So I mean, it's a nice level of coverage. I feel like I'd prefer it to have like a tiny bit more coverage if I'm just being picky. I do kind of like that dewy sort of summery finish that it has on the skin. It's definitely like very, you know, quite radiant looking. I'll just get a bit closer to the camera. I feel like it looks fine on my forehead. Like I'm not noticing it sitting too badly in my texture, like maybe a tiny bit, but I feel like it looks pretty smooth and dewy up there. I feel like in my pores it does look a tiny bit textured, but I do find that most foundations do this because I mean I've got pores in this part of my face, so every foundation kind of sits in them to an extent, but it doesn't look horrible or anything like that. But yeah, it just sit in my texture a little bit, I won't lie, but not to the point where I don't like how it looks or anything. I mean, it's covered my spots around my mouth pretty well, but it's not the most full coverage foundation. For concealer, I'm just going to use one that I know that I like. So this is the Barry M All Night Long Full Coverage Concealer in the shade Milk. I'm just going to pop a bit of concealer under my eyes, on my nose and around my mouth. set it down, I'm going to use the Belle Hypoallergenic Fixing Matte Powder. Picked up another one of these just because, again, it's a powder that I know that I like. And I'm just going to use that to mattify my whole face. Okay, so I've set that all down. Again, I'll just give you a closer up of my skin now that I've concealed and set it as well. I feel like overall I am liking how this foundation is looking, definitely. I mean, it's not like wowing me just from first impression, but I mean, I like it, definitely. I feel like it's the sort of thing I'm going to wear when it's getting a bit warmer outside, definitely. But so far I don't have any like issues with it, like there's nothing that I'm like really wanting to criticize it about. So I'm just gonna go and finish the rest of my makeup and I'll be back. Okay, so I've done the rest of my makeup, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go about my day, and I'll be back about 10:15, 10:30. So again, it's gonna be like about a 7-hour wear test. We'll see how it's looking by that point, if it's completely broken down off my face or if it's, you know, still looking decent. I mean, it's not gonna look good because no foundations look amazing on my skin after a day, but let's see. On first impressions, I'm liking how it's looking now that I've finished my makeup. I feel like my skin does look nice. It doesn't look like too heavy or too cakey or anything like that. I feel like it looks fairly kind of natural looking. My skin, it doesn't feel like a cake face or anything, which I do really like. Yeah, I have still got, you know, decent amount of coverage going on, definitely, and nothing's looking, you know, too horrible or clingy or weird or anything like that. So for first impressions, I do quite like this foundation. I don't know if it's going to be my new favourite, but I like it, and so we'll see what the wear is like, and I will be back for that. Okay, so it's been just over 7 hours. It's just coming back to 10:30. So obviously it's come off around my nose and around my mouth just from where I've been eating and like rubbing my nose because it's irritated. That always happens when I do these wear tests. I think it's held up pretty good. Like, I feel like it has gone a little bit like textured and like sort of separated a little bit in certain areas, but I feel like it hasn't really broken down too badly. Like, I'm pretty impressed with the wear. I have found better wearing foundations than this though, I will say, but I think that's held up pretty well. Like, I feel like the breaking is pretty minimal. It's just got a little bit textured in areas. So like kind of on my chin, it's kind of started to like separate a little bit, and right in between my brows. I'll get up closer in a minute, but got a little bit of texture around these areas, but I feel like a lot of my face looks pretty good still. I will now zoom in. I'll start with my forehead. I feel like the kind of outer part of my forehead looks really good. It's just like the closer you get kind of to, you know, the inner part is where you can kind of see that it's started to kind of separate and texturize slightly, but that is like a common area where that happens with foundations for me. And then I'll go down to this bit area here. Hopefully you can see what I mean. It's not like, it's really not that bad. Like, there are a lot of foundations that look way worse than this. I would say that, you know, it's not bad. Like, I'd put it, you know, I'd say it is one of my better wearing foundations that I've like tried in my life. So I don't know why. I feel like lately I'm getting a lot of foundations like breaking down, like right in this bit in my chin. And I don't know why, because that never used to be a problem area for me, but it's starting to turn into one. It has kind of gone a bit weird around my mouth where I've been drinking and eating. Like, I feel like the outer parts of my face, like, it looks really good. Like, it looks like it hasn't been on all day, so that's really good. It's just kind of the closer you get to the center of my face is where you can kind of see any sort of issues. My eyeshadow has lasted really well. So I would say that is a good wearing foundation, but I wouldn't say it's like an excellent or an outstanding wearing foundation. I think I'd give it like a 7, possibly a 7.5 out of 10. So there's definitely better ones that I've found. For example, the W7 Matte Made in Heaven and the Singing in the Rain ones are like the best wearing ones I found. I'd give those like a 9 out of 10. So it's not quite in that category for me, but it's definitely like decent wear. It doesn't look perfect. There is some issues that I've just pointed out, but overall not too bad. So overall, I'd say my thoughts on this foundation are generally pretty positive. I think it is really similar to the It Cosmetics one, and if I'm honest, I feel like I like it slightly more than the It Cosmetics one. Like, I feel like it has lasted a bit better than that one did. But definitely, if you're thinking about getting the It Cosmetics one, I would get this one instead because it's way cheaper. Personally, like the Maybelline, oh, I've got it on me actually. I personally like the Maybelline Superstay 24-hour one a bit more than this one, just because it's slightly more coverage and it does last a little bit better. So if you were going to go between the two of these, I would say go for the Superstay, but I mean, it's not that far off it or anything. It's just I personally do prefer this one. I think the colour for this one though is a lot better. Like, I don't feel like I need a white mixer with it. If there's one thing that I'm really liking about it, it's definitely the colour. Like, I was worried that I would need a white mixer and that it would oxidize, but actually I think it's a pretty good colour match for me actually. I overall think that this is a good foundation. I don't think it's a great or an amazing foundation, but I'll definitely continue to use it, definitely. When I do my March makeup recap, I'm not sure if I'm going to put this in my March or my April one, just because it's the 27th of March when I'm trying this, so it's like right at the end. I might as well just throw it in my March ones, because I do will go quite late in April anyway. It would just be a recap of all the makeup that I've used throughout the month. So if I've got any updated thoughts on this, that will be in a video probably towards the end of April, maybe mid-April. Depends on how productive I'm being, really. But yeah, that is my thoughts on the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover Foundation. I hope this video was somewhat helpful. God knows I'm not the best at foundation reviews, but that is all from me, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.